Never leave clothes on the drying line overnight. Why? The night belongs to spirits. They walk among us when the sun goes down. A young woman in the village often wondered why this rule was so important. Why does it matter? She asked her grandmother one evening. The old woman sighed and said, "The night belongs to spirits. They walk among us when the sun goes down. Clothes left outside can invite trouble." Adisa nodded but didn't truly believe it. Her heart was full of questions, and she wanted to know the truth. One evening, after finishing her chores, Adisa sat outside, watching the moon rise. The village was calm, with soft lights glowing from the huts. She thought about her grandmother's words and the stories she had heard about spirits. Are these tales real? Adisa whispered to herself. The more she thought about it, the more she wanted to find out. She decided to leave her favorite white dress on the line overnight. If nothing happens, I'll know the stories are just old beliefs, she thought. With a determined heart, she hung the dress and went inside, feeling both curious and nervous. The night was quiet, but Adisa couldn't sleep. She lay awake, listening to the sounds of the wind and the rustling trees. It felt different, heavier than usual, as if the air carried whispers. She peeked out of her window to check the drying line. The dress was still there, but something about it seemed strange. It swayed even though the wind was calm. Shadows around it looked darker than normal. Adisa felt a chill run down her spine. It's just my imagination, she told herself, but her heart pounded as she forced herself to close her eyes. By dawn, Adisa finally fell into a restless sleep. When she woke, the first thing she did was run outside to check the drying line. Her dress was gone. Instead, the ground beneath the line had small footprints leading toward the forest. The prints were not human. They were tiny and sharp, like those of a small creature walking barefoot. Adisa's grandmother came outside and saw her staring at the ground. The old woman shook her head sadly. "You didn't listen, did you?" she asked. Adisa nodded, her voice trembling. "I didn't think it was real. Now my dress is gone." Adisa's grandmother called the village elder, Baba Ibeji, for help. Baba Ibeji was a wise man who understood the ways of the spirits. When he arrived, he looked at the footprints carefully and sighed. "The spirits have taken your dress," he said. "They are drawn to things left unguarded at night. Your dress is now a part of their world." Adisa felt scared and guilty. "How can I get it back?" she asked. Baba Ibeji handed her a small amulet made of beads and bones. "This will protect you," he said. "Follow the footprints into the forest, but be careful. The spirits do not forgive easily." With the amulet around her neck, Adisa followed the footprints into the forest. The trees grew taller and darker as she walked. The air felt thick, and the sounds of the forest seemed distant, as if she had stepped into another world. The footprints glowed faintly, guiding her deeper. Suddenly, the path split into three. A voice whispered from the shadows, "Choose wisely, Adisa." Her hands trembled as she clutched the amulet. Closing her eyes, she remembered Baba Ibeji's advice, "Trust your spirit." She chose the middle path, and the whispers grew louder, almost like laughter echoing around her. The path led to a wide river. The water was still, but its surface showed strange images, her deepest fears and memories. Adisa saw herself as a child, crying after losing her mother. She saw shadows of things she didn't understand. A voice from the river said, "Step in and you will find what you seek." Adisa hesitated. Her amulet grew warm, reminding her of Baba Ibeji's warning. Instead of stepping into the water, she knelt and prayed. The images faded, and a glowing bridge appeared across the river. With steady steps, she crossed, leaving the eerie whispers behind her. On the other side of the river, Adisa saw a cave glowing faintly. She took a deep breath and entered. Inside, the air was heavy, and the walls seemed to hum with energy. In the center of the cave, her white dress floated in the air, glowing softly. Around it stood spirits, tall, thin figures with no faces but bright, piercing eyes. "Why have you come?" one spirit asked, its voice echoing. Adisa bowed her head. "I made a mistake. I left my dress out, and it invited you. I've come to take it back." The spirits whispered among themselves, their voices sharp and cold. The spirits told Adisa she could take her dress only if she passed their test. "Answer this, human. What connects the living and the unseen, the past and the future?" Adisa thought deeply. She remembered her grandmother's stories about the spirits and Baba Ibeji's teachings. "It is the soul," she said softly. The soul ties everything together. The spirits fell silent, then began to laugh, their voices echoing like thunder. You are wise for a mortal, they said. Take your dress, but know it is no longer yours alone. It carries our mark now. Adisa's heart pounded as they handed her the dress. The dress felt warm in Adisa's hands, almost alive. She thanked the spirits and turned to leave the cave. Remember, one spirit warned, you have touched our world. The veil between us and you is thinner now. Be careful, Adisa. She nodded and stepped out of the cave, the forest feeling lighter than before. As she followed the glowing footprints back, the air grew warmer and the sounds of the forest returned. When she finally reached the edge of the village, Baba Ibeji was waiting. You've returned, he said. The spirits let you go, but they have left their mark. When Adisa showed the dress to Baba Ibeji, he studied it carefully. It shimmered faintly, as if it held a light of its own. This dress is now a bridge between our world and theirs, he said. It will protect you, but it will also remind you of your mistake. The villagers gathered as Adisa shared her story. She told them about the spirits, the test, and the lessons she had learned. The rule exists to protect us, she said. From that day on, no one in the village ever left their clothes on the drying line at night again. What have you learned from this short story?